Imagine you are traveling to a new city for the first time, but you have not planned an itinerary and have no idea of what to do while you are there. In this moment, social media can be your best friend because all you need to do is open a social media app, hit the search button, type in your destination, and be met with up to millions of posts with recommendations to plan your dream vacation. But how does this new form of travel affect the tourism industry? What are the effects of social media users using viral recommendations? What happens when local businesses start becoming overcrowded? And what happens when the daily lives of people in these cities become impacted by the increase of social media influenced tourists? These are the questions that this podcast, Tourism Unfiltered, will try to answer as we investigate the impact of social media on modern day tourism with a specific focus on Europe. Today's episode will provide an overview of how travel social media content was able to rise to popularity and how this relates to issues of over-tourism. Mass tourism itself is not a new concept, as it started around the 1960s at a time where transportation technology improved and the economy was expanding. That being said, the post-pandemic era saw a huge increase in tourism as travel restrictions were lifted. Not only did the tourism industry recover from the 1.1 billion loss in tourist arrivals in 2020, but it reached a record high with 1.5 billion tourist arrivals that were projected for the end of 2025, which exceeded pre-pandemic levels and made global tourism one of the fastest growing economic sectors. Europe specifically aimed to capitalize on this economic growth through offering temporary tax incentives and simplifying entry policies. These rapid changes in post-pandemic European tourism has led to Europe reaching 758 million visitors in the span of a year, and France and Spain being named top tourist destinations by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development in 2024, as both nations reached over 800,000 tourist arrivals per year. Another development coinciding with the recent increase of tourism is the shift from using travel books to social media as a tool when planning out travel itineraries. While a large part of this change can be attributed to technological development, authors Henrik and Sarah Linden suggest in their book, Fans and Fan Cultures Tourism, that the photography and videography component of social media is a form of authentic storytelling. Essentially, travel guidebooks tend to be written by travel experts, while social media posts are seen as more authentic since they are made by tourists sharing their personal travel experiences and recommendations. This makes viewers want to then replicate the exciting experiences that they see on social media and possibly post about it themselves afterwards. The algorithms of social media also make it easier for viewers to find travel recommendations, as the posts that appear on their feed likely cater to their personal interests, allowing the suggestions to come to them as opposed to searching for a travel book whose content matches with the type of trip they want to plan. The current popularity of social media in the travel industry is reflected in the data collected by Hotelagio, a global luxury hotel organization, as 83% of travelers worldwide use social media as a way to find inspiration for what to do on trips, and around 40% of millennial travelers pick a destination based on its online postability and visual aesthetics. Considering both the rapid increase of tourism in the mid-2020s and a high number of tourists using travel recommendations that come from social media trends or viral posts, certain travel destinations are bound to become overcrowded. Crowd levels intensify the issue of over-tourism, but the crowds themselves are just one aspect of the problem, which is more complex than it seems. Raul Bianchi and Co Cohens, authors on visitor economy and urban tourism, were interviewed on DW News to present an in-depth definition of over-tourism.
The accelerated growth of tourism to the extent that the tourists exceeded what's called the carrying capacity of these destinations. That's linked to a kind of an underlying structural change in these destinations as a result of tourism, principally house price inflation, being squeezed out of the rental market in order to make way for Airbnb and online rental platforms and such like.
Over-tourism is, in a way, a perceived disturbance by local users of a place of the quality of their lives and the places that they live or work, caused by tourism or visitors in general. Touristification means that places and spaces become more and more oriented towards tourists and visitors.
It's like when shops that once sold products to local communities change and cater only to tourists. by becoming a souvenir shop, for example.
Raoul and Co. both describe over-tourism in different manners, with Raoul focusing on measurable capacity limits and negative impacts to the infrastructure of travel destinations, while Co. speaks to the reactions and attitudes of the residents towards how the increase of visitors affects their daily lives. Taking into account both of these approaches allows for tourism to be understood more holistically, as its influence on the physical destination and the lives of locals are interconnected. Since over-tourism is an issue that affects livelihoods, it can't simply be ignored by governments. The European Union is currently working on a response to post-pandemic over-tourism, which was presented in March 2026 by European Commissioner Apostolus Tzitzikostas as the currently developing EU strategy for sustainable tourism. During his speech, Apostolus offered some remarks on how overcrowding and its effects will be specifically targeted within this strategy.
Let me now turn to the second major challenge: overcrowding. Tourism brings immense economic and social benefits, but success carries responsibility. Large inflows can strain infrastructure, transport systems, and natural resources. But most importantly, this can lead to frustration, to social tension, and a diminished experience for visitors. And the real danger, an anti-tourism behavior in Europe, which we don't want. So managing growth sustainably means shifting from volume to value, prioritizing quality experiences that enrich visitors while safeguarding destinations. And I therefore encourage travel companies today to diversify, personalize, and add value for visitors and for locals alike. Because in the long run, we know that very well, quality wins. And at the same time, while some destinations struggle with excess demand, others, equally beautiful destinations, struggle to attract visitors at all. So achieving a balance will be essential. And later this year, we will present guidelines to help destinations manage tourism flows more effectively, mostly from the destination management organizations, which will be at the heart of this process.
Since concrete documentation of this strategy has yet to be revealed, Commissioner Apostolus is essentially suggesting that travel destinations should create their own localized approach to the issue until the larger international framework is finalized. These localized approaches and the unique impact of over-tourism on different areas of Europe will be investigated in the next 3 episodes of the podcast, as I will take a deep dive into the cities of Paris, Barcelona, and Venice. I hope you stick around to learn more about how over-tourism is currently being addressed in these cities and how social media stays interconnected with these issues. Thank you so much for joining me today on Tourism Unfiltered. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes that will compare social media's impact on all of these highlighted cities and discuss implications for the future. Until next time, goodbye!